of the collaborations that we have with NVIDIA, with vGPU. So that's how I spend my time. If you have any questions, just raise your arm and ask away. I'm happy to make the session work for you, so I don't need to go through all the slides that I have. If you feel like it, you can tweet about this session with any of these hashtags. So I think quite a lot of people have made it into this session. That's a special service just for this session.
Give me a flavor for this.
Alex claimed earlier that he actually wears XenServer underwear. He's such a big fan. So, why care about XenServer? Why are you here?
It's not poisonous, anyone? There's no XenServer complete.
So, XenDesktop 7.6, the latest public release of XenDesktop, has got a telemetry functionality. So they basically call home as soon as, if the customer opts in for this functionality, we get statistics of what hypervisors they use, how the environment looks like. And the hypervisor distribution that we see for XenDesktop 7.6 is we see 55% of all deployments on XenServer. We also see 5% of all deployments on Hyper-V, and we see 37% of all deployments on vSphere. So we are quite happy with these numbers. XenServer wasn't doing that well 1 or 2 years ago. To be honest, we had a bad release. We think we are now doing better again, so we are really happy about this. So why is XenServer such a popular choice under XenDesktop? Well, money plays a major role. If you assume you have a 7,000 seat XenDesktop deployment, for 7,000 seats you will need 50 physical servers. For 50 physical servers, there's a competing hypervisor, vSphere. You will pay about $500,000 US over 3 years. You can pay these $500,000 US, or you can use XenServer in combination with XenDesktop, which you get for free. Yes,
in those numbers, do you also include like TCO and stuff, or is it just like license versus license?
This is licenses and maintenance that you pay.
Okay.
So we think, well, the TCO is a different variable. It depends on the environment, but the management that it costs you, so the money that you spend on management of XenServer will be similar to VMware, we think. Another area where XenServer is particularly popular at the moment is cloud. So there's 2 very popular cloud orchestration layers. One is Cloud Platform, and the other one is OpenStack. So Cloud Platform is the Citrix variant of the Open Cloud Stack. But the thing is, no matter whether you have Cloud Platform or OpenStack, Citrix is a very, very popular choice amongst big cloud providers. So it's people like SoftLayer, Rackspace, who use XenServer. In the other sessions that I've seen, there was a lot of discussions about NetScaler. One of the NetScaler product offerings is NetScaler SDX, which is basically a hardware appliance where you can run multiple virtualized NetScaler instances. And the NetScaler SDX offering runs on top of XenServer, and they managed to get a network throughput of 120 gigabits per second. So it's high performance. XenServer has been around a long time, so we have customers across very different industries with very different use cases. We have plenty of case studies on Citrix.com. It's real deployments. So all these customers are actually people who use XenServer for graphics, but there's a lot of different use cases too. So I want to look back in history a bit. So in January 2015, in January this year, we have released XenServer 6.5. And in May this year, we have released a service pack, XenServer 6.5 SP1. So what was in there? See, one thing that is the most important for us engineers, or I'm talking as an engineer, was that we made the switch to be fully 64-bit. Customers don't have to care, but for us this was big. So when you have the classic, when you try to explain how does XenServer work internally, well, we have a 64-bit hardware platform, we have a 64-bit server. We run a hypervisor on top. We run the Xen project hypervisor. That used to be 64-bit for a while. So the way Xen works is you have a control domain that is a privileged VM, privileged virtual machine, domain 0. And you also have your workload, where you, for example, run your Xen desktop, Xen app, VDAs. These can be 32-bit or 64-bit. Now, prior to XenServer 6.5, we used 32-bit in this privileged domain 0. And in XenServer 6.5, we replaced it with 64-bit. So why am I telling you this? Well, I was personally very excited about what this unlocked for customers. So customers won't notice any of this. We cover this behind the UI. But the point is, we made huge improvements in performance and scalability based on this platform. So one metric that we measure every day is what network throughput can you get when you have plenty of VMs trying to put data on the network. And there we have an improvement of 8 times, so we're 8 times faster. So we are way beyond what you can get out of a 10 gigabit network adapter. So lots of customers are asking for this. 10 gigabit, I think that's the current thing that people are actually adopting. But soon we will not wait for long and we will have 40 gigabit networks. Another improvement that we had is how long does it take to establish network connections? So that's important, for example, for web servers where you have plenty of connections being established. So that's 16 times faster. How fast can you read from your hard disk? 4 times faster. How fast can you write to your hard disk? 3 times faster. We've also bound up various scalability limits. One I want to particularly talk about is how many virtual machines can you run on a physical host. So with XenServer 6.2 it used to be 500. With XenServer 6.5 we will support up to 1,000. But there's one thing. I wouldn't recommend anybody to run 1,000 virtual machines. Whether you run Linux VMs, Windows VMs, no matter what workload it is, don't run 1,000 VMs on one physical host. So what you typically do is you run a benchmark. You run something like login VSI that determines how many virtual machines can I run on my particular environment. Is my hypervisor, is my server, is my storage, is my network. And when you look at the login VSI metric, what you typically do is you try to start a certain amount of VMs, let's say 10 VMs, and then you look at, did these 10 VMs get an acceptable performance? So the way this looks is, on the horizontal axis we have how many VMs we started, on the vertical axis is how many VMs got acceptable performance. So with XenServer 6.2, we managed to start on a certain platform 120 VMs. Before we saw a degradation, so some virtual machines didn't get the performance that they should have. With XenServer 6.1, 165. XenServer 6.2, 350. XenServer 6.5, 500. And now with XenServer 6.5 SP1, it is actually 600. 600 Windows VMs, admittedly on a very strong server.
And what was the strong server then? What was the spec? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay.
I think it was just the most expensive servers that we could find.
But it was fixed, yes.
Yes.
Didn't go the...
No. It was the same server platform. So we were basically limited on the hypervisor And now we know 600 is not the limit of the hypervisor anymore, but we are limited now by the servers that we can get our hands on. So we can't find a server with enough CPUs. We've also worked hard to make it cheaper for customers, so customers don't need to go for the most expensive hardware. So one important variable in this is storage, particularly how many I/O operations does your storage need to cope with. So one thing that we've done is we have introduced memory-based read caching for NFS. So the way this works is for SAN or SAN desktop, you typically have a template, you have a master image, a golden image, call it however you like. We will cache this golden image, and we will only get it once from your NFS storage, and then distribute it amongst many virtual machines. So we will put a lot less I/O operations on your storage array. You can buy cheaper storage, and also VMs boot faster.
Do you set up the amount of memory that is used for the caching, or is there some intelligent mechanism that does that for you?
So we will automatically configure the memory that we use. So we basically take some of the memory from our control domain, domain 0. You can also modify this value, but we will usually do it based on how much memory you have in your server. So we have so static values there.
So that technology is without any PVS or MCS kind of VDIS kind of management or streaming.
Yes. So where is this
That's at
particularly?
the hypervisor level, right?
That's on the hypervisor level. So where this particularly helps is with MCS,
Yeah,
where the hypervisor understands the storage.
yeah.
PVS does the same thing itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of double checking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, how do you make sure that it doesn't do other stuff? How do you make sure that it only works with desktops?
We don't. It would work with other stuff too if you have the golden master image. So
How does it know that it's a gold master image?
So the way this works is we have typically a chain of virtual disks, and one of these virtual disks is read-only. When it's read-only, it is a master image, and we will only cache the read-only disks.
So there's an intelligence within the hypervisor
Yes.
to understand that if an image is read-only, that it will utilize a bit of RAM, depending on what's free,
Yeah.
to act as a read cache.
Yes.
And that is automatic. Can you disable that, or is that always on?
It is fully automatic, it is always on.
Do you have an equivalent of the write cache somewhere? I mean, the writes, where do they go?
So the writes currently still go to the storage array.
Yeah.
So that's something that we are
It's
seeing
like
a
a
lot.
delta disk.
Yeah.
It's about reducing network traffic, yeah? So this is local RAM on the host.
Yes,
You're not now going across the network in order to get
yes,
the read operations from your NFS.
yes. And the very important thing is the amount of memories that we use for this. So we will automatically stop using memory for this if we need it for something else. So we, yeah.
It's like a fallback
Yes.
to the local storage, okay, just in case. Similar to what PDS does.
So we have basically measured, this will really help you with deployments, and it will not slow down your servers that we're doing this, which is also why you will not want to turn it on.
Can you stop that? So the reason why I'm asking is because when I'm doing VDI on a server, and the server decides, yeah, I do need that memory, and it will go to this. It will go onto the storage network and kill your storage. That's the problem. And it will kill your VDI performance eventually. So
Yeah.
can I stop it from choosing to give out the memory again and just keep it using for read caching?
No, you can't. What you would want to do is you would want to make sure that you give enough memory to the control domain, domain 0, and then you wouldn't start to squeeze it out again.
How do you monitor that? How do you monitor that there's not enough memory?
There's guides and
On page 4, is
instructions.
it? There's a non-page 4, is it non-page pool? And where is it the same like
I
the...
generally thought you said, is it on page 4?
Yeah.
I genuinely thought, is it on page 4? It's like a really well-known admin.
So just one thing maybe.
It's on page 5.
customers wouldn't need to know any of this. This is all fully automated.
Sure.
But in essence, we're just using Linux caching mechanism. We're using the same cache that any Linux system would use. And it does this fully in the background, so there's really a lot of intelligence in there that does this for us.
The interesting thing is, yes, very useful, but it's a variable thing.
Yeah.
So you could get into a situation where, as probably Byron's alluding to, you're under load, where there's lots of resources that have been put on the host. The host is dealing with it as best it can, and it decides, because it's low on memory, to stop doing this. Now you've got an impact on the user experience, because now automatically, without you doing anything, you've stopped doing something clever with memory, and now you're just going straight to your back-end storage environment. So at a point when there's a lot of demand on the service, you're now just going back to this. So it's an understanding of when this might run out, so that you can preempt it and work with it, so that you're not going to be in that position. I think it's where people are coming from. It's like, this is all very clever, but how do we monitor it, and how do we turn it off or turn it on, so that there's an expected load, rather than unexpectedly happening without your knowledge.
But it's only using memory assigned to DOM0, which can be configured.
Well, DOM0 just decides on how much RAM you've got. So.
Well, you can modify the variable if you choose to, but we would typically recommend that you don't need it. It's basically, this gives you another option to play this. It should just work out of the box. You can, of course, modify the variables, but the result may vary. Yes, please.
So in the earlier versions of XenServer, it was quite normal to change the size of the DOM0, but it should be quite automatic in the 6.5. Do you recommend just, let it do its own work, or would you always, from case to case, consider maybe extending the memory to the DOM0 to make sure that it's caching correctly and stuff?
I would recommend to use the default.
Okay.
Unless you find out that it's not working for you.
Did you test any negative impact on, for example, third-party tools like Atlantis for VPS caching or other stuff in SBC or VDI environments?
It works beautifully with Man's computer. Absolutely.
It must.
If it doesn't work, only see me.
Yeah. So this caching will actually be slightly more efficient than, for example, Atlantis, because Atlantis are working inside a virtual machine. So this is basically shortcutting slightly by being directly into the hypervisor. I'm not making friends here.
You just keep talking about it. I wasn't. I was in the session, but I'm now deleting it. You've got to bear in mind that is specifically for MCS environments.
Yes.
And it's variable, so your user experience might vary, whereas it wouldn't if you have third-party tools. You make your choices. We all work together.
Good.
Moving right along.
Something that I'm particularly keen about is what we do with containers, what we do with Docker. So just in case if you have never heard of containers, it's all about how you package applications. Containers are basically a different mechanism to package applications compared to virtual machines. So one company who has basically brought this to the public, who's made it very easy to use, who's built a community around it, is Docker. So they've basically introduced tools that allow you to easily package containers, to distribute them. They've built a community around it. So it's all very, very accessible. So something that we've built into XenServer is the option to manage Docker containers from within the usual virtualization tools. So we do have VMs here, and we do have containers here running on a certain VM. So the way that we see customers use Docker containers is we think containers and virtual machines complement each other. There's use cases for which containers are very useful. Whenever you want the application packaging, whenever you want the very quick start and stop time. And there's other use cases where you will want virtual machines. That is particularly when you are concerned about partitioning, concerned about security. So it should complement each other very well. And whatever packaging mechanism the customer chooses, whether it's containers or virtual machines, Citrix will enable the customer to manage this, to orchestrate this. In XenServer 6.2, XenServer 6.5, we've also heavily invested into graphics again to keep our graphics lead. So we've introduced support for GPU pass-through to Linux guests. That goes particularly with the XenDesktop Linux VDA. It is also very popular to be used for compute offload, for number crunching. So particularly in England, we have lots of finance companies that are very interested in doing number crunching on Linux.
Hash cracking.
Yes.
Bitcoin mining.
All these use cases. So with XenServer, we had a lot of time to mature our graphics offering. Just one thing to highlight is with us you can do all the graphics virtualization stuff from the UI. You will not have to go to the command line interface. It will all be nicely on the graphic interface. Yesterday in the Horizon session, I've learned that VMware now support both NVIDIA and AMD. Well, since it's XenServer 6.5, we're also supporting Intel. So we're supporting the pass-through of embedded graphics chips that are embedded into your most recent Intel CPUs to guest VMs. So that was XenServer 6.5. Shall I move on to what's next?
Just a clarification, is that Intel in Service Pack 1?
Yes.
Page 16.
Okay, what's next? Citrix is a publicly traded company, and as such, there are tight restrictions on what I can say and what I can't say. However, we have a public technologies review out there, so Citrix, CTPs, and customers that have either XenDesktop, XenApp, or XenServer can go to the citrix.com website and download the technology preview. So this is basically software that we have put out there to get your feedback, to understand what features do you like, what features do you not like. And depending on your feedback, we will leave some features in or take them out when we actually publish this as a supported XenServer release.
So we're now talking about features in the open source XenServer.
No, we are talking about features in the technical preview in the commercially supported XenServer. So it's, yeah.
Just so we know.
So you can get all of this on citrix.com, but just if you are an existing customer. And we're not guaranteeing that we ever will support it. First up is storage. XenServer is most of the time deployed into Windows environments. So most of our customers are going very, very heavy on Windows. So one thing that we've done is we will be supporting SMB, CIFS, as VM storage. So you can put your virtual disk images on there. It's just another storage option.
Yeah. Although it's SMB, not CIFS.
It is SMB, that's right.
On this CIFS.
Hold that thought, I've got a slide on that.
If Aaron Parker sees this, he'll go very close.
CIFS is the old name of an earlier protocol version, which is not to be mixed up with SMB. I will move on before he takes a picture.
Oh, you're just no fun anymore.
It looks very similar to the NFS dialog. You just now also have a username and a password. So you can
It is SMB support.
it is certain features from SMB3, it is not all of SMB3 that we will support in the first version.
Oh, I missed that.
From Aaron.
So we've picked a subset we've picked a subset of the features of SMB3. There's really a lot in there. We think they should be workable. So we're really happy with this. So in the most recent development build, we have actually named it SMB or not sys anymore.
Because you get letters.
Yeah. So
Maybe serious.
some people really don't like when it's still called sys, but the right thing to do is basically call it SMB. We also have support for OpenFCE in there. So there's two very popular CNA vendors that push this heavily, that is Broadcom and Intel. And also HP as a server vendor is pushing these CNAs heavily. So we're now supporting this on XenServer. This basically is software-enabled fiber channel over Ethernet. So it is supposed to make fiber channel over Ethernet cheaper. We shall see how this works out. I was told this is a technical conference, so I thought I'd bore you with some diagrams. We've gone to great lengths to integrate OpenFCE into XenServer, so we've had to change our installer, our kernel, various device drivers, storage manager, our multipath stack, as well as tool stack. For customers, it looks like this. So you basically get a new storage option, you don't have to deal with any of the complexity, and this was a beast. We also have support for NFS version 4. Just to give you another alternative. Again, just a storage option. The performance of NFS 4, we think NFS version 4 performs slightly better than NFS version 3. You might need the latest version of your array firmware to benefit from this performance. It's really relatively new in most storage arrays. We see that NFS version 4 is particularly faster for larger block sizes, so that is in the light blue here. Next up is migration. So XenServer has had migration for a long time. We've also, some releases ago, added the capabilities that you can migrate VMs that only have local storage. So you don't need any shared storage, you don't need a storage array. Something that we didn't have is you couldn't migrate virtual machines as soon as the server shut down, as soon as they were offline. So that's one of the things that we fixed in the Tech preview. So now you can migrate VMs at any stage of their life, when they're running, when they're stopped, or when they're suspended.
Good graphics choices with this.
David Nottingham, he does the slides. We've also reduced the live migration downtime to under 3 seconds, so it got a bit long there. We've again heavily invested into graphics. So if you now wonder, is graphics just for high-end users? Why does Citrix keep investing into graphics so heavily? I think it's definitely not just for high-end users. There's people like users of Photoshop or Katia, they don't need a graphics card. But then there's also multimedia applications, Google Earth, Flash, Silverlight. But also, most Office applications will be happily using a graphics card as soon as it is there. So PowerPoint will be using one, Firefox, Internet Explorer, so Windows Aero Desktop, and even the Adobe PDF Reader will make use of a graphics card. So I think Thomas Poppergeist is preaching this a lot. So whenever you go to one of his sessions, he usually have a line along this.
Can the GPUs be partitioned, or is this one GPU per one desktop, for example?
That's up next.
Okay.
Good lead-in.
So XenServer has had support for NVIDIA vGPU now for like 2 years now, something like this. So we were leading with that. The next big thing that we are leading with is the graphics chips that is embedded in new Intel CPUs. So Intel markets this as Iris Pro graphics. So this Intel graphics chip, you can get some, for example, in a very small box. So that's nice if you go to customer sites and want to preview something. That is a gigabyte bricks box, I believe. Or you also get it, for example, in HP Moonshot.
That's less convenient bringing along.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that.
Oh, you can bring one car.
You might also need to bring your nuclear power plant to do that. So the point is, these new Intel CPUs basically don't require you to have an add-on PCI Express card. You just get it with your CPU.
You can get it in plates now.
Yes. So we've been working with Intel to integrate a functionality called Intel GBTG, which is basically the virtualization of this embedded graphics chip. We allow you to slice up this graphics chip across up to 7 virtual machines. So you can get graphics enablement for up to 7 virtual machines without requiring a PCI Express card, without having the power requirements, the heat requirements, and whatever.
So is that, if you look at the it's an E3, right? Where
Yes.
is there one Iris Pro on the CPU, or is there one Iris Pro per core?
There's one on the CPU, I believe.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, to be honest. So we really think this is a big thing. So Intel is investing in this. Why do we think that? Well, it will be a lot easier for customers to deploy this. Then they have to go for a fully fledged NVIDIA graphics card. HP is very keen on this. Here showing the Moonshot platform as Synergy. They market this as ultra convergence. With a marketing term.
Fantastic word.
I hate those words.
He's taking it out without the earth.
The performance that we're getting is really not that bad. So the way that we see it, if you split up the graphics choices that you have, is you have on the one end low cost, low performance, and over there you have high cost, high performance. So on the low cost side, we have standard GPU sharing. We used to have that for years. On the high end, we used to have XenServer pass-through for years. 2 years ago, we got NVIDIA vGPU. And we think Intel's play will be towards the low end. And we really think this will be very, very popular. Lots of people will pick this up.
Well, it's cool that if you look at engineering companies, they have users who do the high-end graphics stuff, and you have users that just view the graphic stuff, and then you have just one box and you have multiple options. So that's very cool.
And you'll get it for free with the CPU. I need to be a little bit faster now. So we've also invested into health check. So we have now an automatic integration into tools of a service, Citrix Insight services. If you don't know it, you basically upload the status report. It gets analyzed and tells you whether your system is healthy. So we've now automated this. You can do it from the UI. You can do it at intervals. You can enroll your server. And it will just automatically happen if you know that your environment is safe and healthy. We've also invested into making maintenance easier. So the hotfix visit got reworked. The hotfixes are now downloaded directly from citrix.com to make your life easier. We've refreshed the platform. We will be supporting UEFI boot of hosts. We will also be supporting the latest CPUs. We have refreshed the hypervisor, and our control domain 0 is now CentOS 7.1, just in case you're interested. We've bumped up various scalability limits. The maximum memory per host is now up to 5 terabytes. Physical CPUs per host up to 240. It's really hard to get hands on your hardware for this testing, by the way. Virtual block devices per host is up to 4096. Maximum memory per VM is up to 1 terabyte, particularly for Senna.
That's 1,000 users on mobile.
Virtual boot devices per VM is up to 255.
Yeah.
We've also again invested heavily into performance, so we've adapted secrets to cope better with bootstone scenarios. So we now think it will be a lot easier to run more virtual machines on your pool master. Just waiting for the picture. Thank you. We've also bumped up various performance number again, aggregate interest network throughput 40%, storage IOPS 50%, single stream storage IOPS. That's particularly important for Atlantis.
Thank you very much. I only asked about this last night, and it's already done. I'm very impressed. Well done.
We've also refreshed our Active Directory integrations, so we are now using PBIS. That should work particularly well for large Active Directory deployments. So when it's about 100,000 users, big companies. We've also improved usability in various areas, so it's now possible to pop up the PuTTY console in XenServer, so that should be quite helpful if you have Linux near. It's a little thing.
Those little things.
Okay, if you're interested in the tech preview, you can get it on citrix.com, not XenServer.org. But you can get it there as well. Questions?
Is there an expected release date?
Yes.
That would be great, yeah.
If you see me this evening after 2 or 3 beers,
Okay.
We can arrange those, man.
if you have any questions, just
Maybe after 10 beers,
come to me,
more.
speak to me. Thank you.
Are there plans to increase the maximum fit of disk size? It's now 2 terabytes.
Yes, it is currently not in the technology preview,
Okay.
but it is something that we are very aware of.
From the marketing point of view, how do you position XenServer? As in, like, if you go to a customer to try to convince them over kind of going for a VM or vSphere, what are your kind of key, I don't know, 3-5 selling points of XenServer? The cost of the Steve sounds like the main one.
So ways that we see XenServer being deployed is typically you go to a customer site, it's a VDI deployment, send us for XenApp.
Yeah.
We tell them you get XenServer for free. Once you have this, once the customer sees that working, he will not wait to also see this a bit in server virtualization or other kinds of business, not just VDI.
Yeah.
So that's, and the other selling points is XenServer has been around a long time. Hypervisors are kind of commodity. So we really think customers can't go wrong with the XenServer offering.
Yeah.
So, and we are market leading graphics still.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what about manageability? Because I have a lot of customers moving away from XenServer, going to either Hyper-V or VMware because of manageability. Because a VMware platform is, that's what we usually have at customers, and they like to manage VMware via vCenter, and they're all used to that, and then they have a front-end environment using XenServer, and that's all different, and they can't get used to that, or they don't want to manage it.
So the answer that I typically give is, I think XenServer is a lot easier to manage than some of the other hypervisors. However, I can't do anything about, but if the customer is very focused on VMware and only wants to control their hypervisor via vSphere, that's a lot better.
Do you guys integrate with any like tools, I don't know, as the Microsoft one for managing like virtual machines and stuff, as CDMM, whatever the acronym is? And,
we used to integrate into SCDMM. We have not seen major uptakes there. So we really think the XenServer as a user interface to the hypervisor is very, very easy to manage.
Yes.
It's like a packaged box.
Well, I think the difficulty that customers have from XenServer versus ESX is that HA and VRS are very easy to manage in the vSphere environment, not so easy to manage in the XenServer. That HA capability is tricky, and the load balancing piece, went away, then came back again. There's not a great understanding of it, like there is for VMware.
But that's the main problem, is that it will take time to get the trust of us and customers, because you kill off XenServer, you brought it back, kill off features, and brought it back, and that will take time. And things that, I mean, there's a clear roadmap now and development, so that will just take time. And on the other hand, management is quite easy of XenServer, but things like if you update, are you doing anything about the update process? So what I got when I updated from XenServer 6.2 is, hey, your disk is full because all of the old updates you no longer need are still on your disk. What's being done there?
We fix that.
That's good.
Yeah. So we're really investing heavily into XenServer. So we really want people to take it up, continue to use it. We are very happy with the product.
Not just for VDI workloads, but for wider workloads as well.
Use it for anything. Use it for everything. Would make us very happy. Start with VDI.
Are there any improvements on the disk co-leasing, like co-leasing the snapshots?
We have fixed various customer problems in that area. So I would hope that it is a lot better now.
Also for bigger VMs?
Also for bigger VMs. So that will be particularly helped by the performance improvements, so we now can write faster to the disk, so we can coalesce faster. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.